However, stock of the day is REA Group, ticker code REA. And NewsCorp's property offshoot REA Group posted higher earnings and revenue in its September quarter. In the 3 months ended 30th of September, revenue was at $341 million, up 12% on previous year's same quarter. Adjusted earnings came in at $198 million, an increase of 13%. And the company near record employment and immigration helped these results. Shares are currently trading down by 2.2%. Okay, Luke, it's not necessarily in your normal sphere of stocks you'd look at, but nevertheless, it's a great company, great long-term track record. What are your thoughts today?
Yeah, it's a brilliant company. I mean, every time I do look at it, the report looks exactly the same. It's usually around that high single-digit, low double-digit growth, almost all of that driven by pricing power, which is what you'd expect to see from a platform like this that's so well established and has that real dominant network effect. And I think they've sort of shrugged off the market's concerns around listings growth and the potential weakness around the broader property market, given they've shown they can grow even in a weaker listings environment. The price you pay is obviously the one issue around what's otherwise a brilliant business. On the update today, sort of annualise that first quarter, running towards about 27, 28 times, market cap to EBITDA. That's expensive, particularly in this current market. We're not in the zero interest rate world we were in a couple of years ago. But nonetheless, given the earnings power of the business and the way they're flexing that right now quite impressively, I think it's a pretty comfortable hold, particularly for people who've maybe been there for a while, and maybe tax decisions or something like that factoring into how they're thinking. I'd be on the sidelines, though, if you're new money. I mean, this is one that chart sort of sums it up there. You do get those little 10, 15% pullbacks on macro and whatnot. So I maybe wouldn't be jumping in today with new money, but certainly a hold, just given the quality of the business. And as I said, it's quite impressive how they're flexing that operational muscle over their network effect right now.
Well, indeed. Now, Mark, REA, it's never cheap, is it? It's kind of the dominant player in this market.
It's and look, so this is the sort of stock, particularly if you're a real fan. Obviously, if you hold it, I agree with Luke. You would just continue to hold it, I think, at this stage. This would be the sort of stock we approach if clients wanted to buy them with new money. We'd probably just dollar average over time. And try and take advantages of dips that happened, for instance, a few weeks ago, because it can get quite volatile and whip around, and you want to be a little bit picky. I don't think it's going to necessarily. It's so big now and so dominant now and pretty well covered that you're probably not going to miss out on a massive upside move. But there's always with these stocks that have the the high PEs, etc. You tend to get an opportunity, particularly in the last 2 or 3 years, that there'll be a dip and you'll be able to pick some up over time. So I would not be buying for new money. I did like the figures; they are a great company. I wholeheartedly agree with what Luke said. I'd be just buying on dips if you wanted to get into it. And I think that India business is going relatively well. They need to expand because they are so dominant here, and that may force a bit of a readjustment in that in that high price because unless you expand, obviously you can't continue that growth. So, but yeah, I think it's almost single-handedly holding up NewsCorp at the moment, which obviously was pretty good. But yeah, super high quality Australian business.
Did you hear about? Is there an activist investor on the NewsCorp board that's rattling to get NewsCorp to divest more of the shares in REA?
I think I read something about that. I don't know the specifics necessarily, but yeah, I mean, particularly now that
old
Rupert's headed off the board, I dare say the activist investors will be smelling, at least thinking they can smell some weakness, but many have tried and failed with Rupert, I'm sure. So
indeed. Okay, there we have it. A couple of holds on REA Group.